this is how it turned out. If you watched the previous one, it's just a few tweaks here and there, but it's just about done. I think the background, because of the, I don't know whether or not it's me or what, but you know, it's like a belonging thing. You know, it sort of belongs where it is in the background, and floating heads are great, but you know, this sort of thing. But there's just something that's like, it's a floating head. You know, it's not telling. I said this the other day about telling the story. I think because sometimes I see that, you know, the emotion, you know, the posture and everything of that pose is emphasised by its environment. So if emotion is what I'm trying to capture or trying to recreate, then it's a complete picture. It's not just a head that's floating and somebody just happened to be smiling or squinting or whatever. You know, there's more than that. So when it becomes about the background, and the background emphasises and accentuates the emotion, things like the eyes and the mouth and almost become secondary, because the whole thing is important, not just the mouth, which is interesting, because then everything changes. So all of a sudden I'm not that bothered if it's not quite smooth enough there, and you know what I mean. It's not that you can see the difference in the undulations of that slight highlight on her forehead there. That really, it's not critical, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, there are things that maybe need to be slightly tweaked, shall we say? But yeah, I think that worked out all right. I'm going to do another one now, which is funny, because this is. I was talking about the charcoal not being particularly. There's paper not being particularly good with shadows, and see how dark it is, but I quite like the undrawn thing. You know, it's really slick and black and perfect. It's a different thing. I'm in the non-illustration phase, if you like. But this one I'm going to do now is graphic, is the word I would look at that. It's just graphic. There's all this sort of solid area here, and then I've just seen a guy that painted his auntie above the breakfast table, and she's quite low down on the composition. And the best bit about it is the background, the blue background. All the detail on the face and all, it's wonderful, fantastic. But the thing that makes it work is the background, and it's 2/3 just blue. That's all it is, and that is what, for me, makes it. I mean, that's the triumph. It's not the detail on her hair or anything like that. It's the actual. It's the background. So I think this is kind of a graphic thing more than anything else, and I think if I can get that feeling again, back to the feeling and the emotion and the relationship with all the shapes, if I can get that working, then I think I cracked it. So that's about right where everything is and what's going on here with this charcoal. Like I say, this paper and this charcoal just aren't friends at all. They're not at all. They're just sworn enemies. That's what they are. You know what I mean? And that's my. I feel like a lion tamer. You know, trying to get these two to get along. Arbitration. We're in arbitration. We're trying to get the paper and the charcoal to get along. It's not. They want a divorce, but they're not having it. We're gonna make them get along. We're gonna work out the differences, and we're gonna make them get along. So, what I'm thinking with this is that I'm going to, in a way, just. I can say not care, but you know what I mean, like not really get into the the it must be perfect kind of thing. Because of what happened last night, and then what you've just seen me do this morning. I'm in this sort of place that's, and I've said this before. You know, when I got to a point where charcoal seemed to hold no. I think it's probably because of the state of the charcoal that I've got. But it seemed to have no. I didn't seem to have any. Hang-ups about using it, and I got into a point where I wanted just to sort of scribble all over the paper with it, and I think I'm back in that place, having for I think the last couple of weeks really it's been detailed and more about the doing than the outcome, if that's not a contradiction. But I think it's probably more just simply about the manipulation, I think, more than anything else, especially since, as I say, these two, the charcoal and the paper, just don't get along. So I'm looking for effect more than anything else. So in the darks on the other one, for instance, it was just more about the effect of those the hair and the face, the elements of the face. It's not really a. You see, it's doing it there. You see that there when that happens. You see how that there's a sort of feeling of reality suddenly in there. That's charcoal doing that. Charcoal is a, and you see people have mastered this, mastered that incidental kind of. You can see the realism that comes into it. That's what charcoal does. That's why people kind of, they're drawn to using it, because it has a level of, it can create a level of realism simply. I think you've got to be aware of it and see it when it happens, but and sometimes deliberately. But it is definitely it's one of the I suppose the benefits, the features, whatever you want to call it, the qualities of charcoal is that ability to create a tonal reality. I mean, my thing is, and this is what you're seeing here, my thing is that it's more than just the marks. I think I want it to be not the marks, if you know what I mean. It's the opposite of the marks being perfect. I want them to be imperfect and still work. That's what I want, which is good, because I have problems more times than not making marks, perfect marks. So I think that's probably where it comes from. I'm accepting my failings. It's like the secret of happiness, acceptance. Not compromise, just acceptance. Or is that just a stoic thing? Not really a fan of stoicism, but there you go. More of a cynicism kind of guy in terms of philosophy. Emo dog is me. Used to have a dog, don't have a dog anymore. Missed him every day. Got a cat. The problem with cats is they're not dogs. I still love him though, but he's not a dog. He's not a dog. What can you do? We tried to put a thing on him once, a lead, and take him for a walk. Oh crikey, that was. I didn't realise cats have got no bones. He could get out of a straitjacket. Our cat. I think all of them can. I'm just going to fix the jaw, the side of her face, the cheek here, just because it's looking a little bit more. There you go. But I'm thinking in terms of shapes. A friend of mine, who just been on the game show, he paints in I wouldn't say primitive shapes, in kind of a primitive way, I suppose, in the way that he creates the components. It was good. I mean, he went on the show, but it didn't get very far. But it's still good for it. I told him, I said, still good for that stuff. It's degrading, but he went on anyway. Took no notice of me and went on. He never asked my permission either. Someone did once. I said, yeah, go on. Yeah. I didn't learn anything though. I asked a friend of mine what he learned when he went on. Didn't know what I meant. He didn't know what I meant by saying that. What have you learned by going on? So, let me get the... she's cross-eyed. She's cross-eyed. What... let me get these things in the right position now. I'm not concentrating here at all. Ridiculous. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and just check I'm going to check. I'm not going to try. I'm actually going to check the locations of things, just to make sure I've got the relationships right of everything. think it's the width of the hair now. That's the issue. Sometimes get the alignments right. Hold on. Sometimes the thing that feels wrong is usually because of something else. It's not always that, it's because it's back to this visual comparison thing, because you're looking at relationships between other things. So I'll be looking at things on the face when really it's the thickness. I can still see it now. I can still see the it not being quite thick enough. This bit here. It's just my visual measure. It's not a thing that it must be this, that, and the other. It's just how I'm measuring it, and I can see how that's impacting on the other things I'm looking at. So. So I'm kind of at that stage where the tones are telling me what's wrong with it. If something like the ear is too loud, too light, it just overpowers the balance of things. And it's back to the tonal balance stuff. So, and since I use tones to define what I'm trying to draw, it's quite important that they're not interfering with the my visual assessment of it all. So I just need to fix a nose there. Nose is kind of coming over this way a bit, as is the mouth slightly. It was just looking a little bit too. I'm going to kill that there as well as a bit of something saying about the tonal side of things. It's quite important to get the shapes properly defined with tones. I suppose it's on that now. It's on the stage where it's at the stage where I'm trying to fix the tonal values to create the form better. Not quite yet. Still in that stage of things are not quite in the right place stage. Yeah, ish. It's again, it's one of those where I think it's about the other things. It's not just about the face. This is about the blackness of the polo neck or whatever it is that she's wearing. I think it's about that, and then the greyness of the background, and then the shadow. The shadow is really important. That shadow. It's really important. This shadow. This thing here. So I'm going to put that in. What I'm going to do is, I've done this before with. You see me doing this. I just put lines in to indicate the overall shadow of it, and then a lighter line to them, for the background itself. Like I said earlier, when I'm putting these, as you can see, when you put there's still a tonal value to a number. It's the cumulative effect. It's cross-hatching. It's the same thing. So now that that's there, you can see what's happening with the neck. So I've got to increase the density of the neck. Right. There will be highlights in there, and obviously a little bit darker there, and a touch of a highlight in there, but it needed to be darker. See? But that's just looking. That's not me knowing. I don't know those things. It's just what I can see. Yep. So before I finish it, I'm going to put on the darker parts of it, the darker foreground, if you like, and we'll just see what. Because what will happen is that, like I said before about the balance thing, the density of everything will be balanced, or should be balanced. So whatever, like I've said, that had to change. That had to change because of that. You know, it was, and there's another change there in between, kind of thing. It's that one there. So it's just another part, and then it goes into the neck, and then it goes into the definite density of the pullover thing. There's no particular reason why I'm doing it like this, you know, this stroke, but other than if it is going to be, you can see the undulations in it, it's going to mimic some kind of fabric. I mean, I think the other way is, if you wanted it to be solid, you need to do multi directions even. You know, I said before about the, you know, the Paint and Decorators infinity loop thing. I think you have to do that. So if you want it to be flat, smooth, without the, undulations in it. But I quite like it when it's got. I think I like beards as well. It gives it a bit of a texture. Yep. I think there's something on her, like a chain or something around her neck. I was like that. I'm not sure what's going off with it, but it just gives it a bit more. As I said earlier on the previous one, there is a point when the charcoal on this paper, you can see it all over the place, it starts to fight with the surface, but it's that bit when I think it looks best. You know, it's sort of it's not texture. I was talking about it being texture. I don't think it's really texture. I think it's more just a, I don't know, a surface effect or some kind. Just makes it, in a way, this is a terrible thing to say, a bit more interesting. But I don't mean it in that way. It sounds a bit naff. It's a bit amateur. More interesting, challenging. That's another word. That's another word I never use. Challenging. What's all that about? I think anybody listening to my ramblings, I think this guy's proper messed up. This guy's proper messed up. He has no understanding what it really is to be an artist. It's much more serious than it requires intense skill. It does. It does require. I mean, I admit that. And you've seen some of that. I've said this morning. You've seen some of those guys on girls on Instagram. Good grief! Skill in buckets full. What kind of skills I want, though? Again, I'm being a little bit naughty, I think, by saying that. Yeah, so I'm going to. This is not going to work with the perfectly, in that way with a linear thing. It's going to need it to be. I think probably because it's interfering with the way you see it. So it does need to be like that, smooth, and then the background needs to be smooth as well, I think. There is a kind of trajectory of it as well, and then I think the yeah, it's about right, not quite right, but it's about right. Tonal issues here. Space issues here. You see that width there? That looks a bit narrow to me. You know, from there to there. Let me look at her mouth to there. It's about there. I think it's about right. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of some of these. I'm going to sharpen this charcoal so I can just get a bit more definition. I'm going to change the size of her eye as well, a little bit bigger, I think. I'm moving it in a bit from there. Yeah, I'm gonna move her here. Yeah, and then just going to just going to push the hair out a little bit on that side, but not. I don't think it'll make much difference. Probably a little bit there, but not much. And then not much here. There's a little bit, sort of protrudes a bit more there, and then in, and then up there, and then yeah, pushing the hair a little bit that way. Yeah, sort these. She got her chin's a bit big. I think her mouth's too big and her chin's a bit big, but I'm going to change it now. Yeah, see that distance there, that from there to there, I might get away with it, you know. That there, that bit there. Yeah, I'm just going to put some of this tone on here because at the moment it's interfering a bit with the way I'm looking at it. So let me just even this out. It looks a bit darker towards the top, but that's alright. Yeah, you can see what I mean? Because of that interference, I mean, there's going to be some hairs hanging around up there, but yeah. take them out and put them back in again so I can get a better view of the shape of things, whether or not it's still too long, the face. I don't think it is actually, looking at it now. I think it's be a bit better. We sharpen this charcoal, and then I'm going to fix the tone. You see the tonal balance is a bit off. I think this should be a bit more dense, intense. So if I'm happy with this, right, this I can commit to taking this down, all of this down, right, including her ear. Her ear is going to be part of that. Probably come back and just get that a little bit better underneath there. But taking all this down, I think is the is the thing to do. And I can get this bit here as well. It's quite this edge here, even though it's darker in that bit there, it's quite even in there. I'm going to either have to make it like that, just because it gives it the the shape, the right form. And I think all the other stuff, this bit here, which is dark, again, it's back to this on a monitor, it's projected, so it looks lighter than it actually is. So there's nothing wrong with all that bleeding into it, into the, so you can't see the difference between the two. Yeah. I think one of the things I say about the charcoal and the paper is that it seems that the more you work it, the more it has this the quality, this texture-ish thing going on, and you know, the things that develop as a consequence of that are I think they just seem to, it just seems to give it a different kind of finish. You know, this on the previous one, it was, you know, where the hair met the background. It was that. It's doing it on here as well. I'm going to have to increase the density in some way, at least on some of the edges of this. Here is a little bit messed up, too dark. This here is the yeah. I'll try and get rid of some of these highlights as well, because they're not really that highlighty. I think the whole face is a bit grey. There's not really, there's a highlight there, there's a sort of shape there, but nothing else anywhere else. So, and that's going to throw. You see, it's changed, and that's going to throw the you know, the form of the face out if it's got highlights where they shouldn't have them, obviously. And then down here as well, you can see it all the way down there. Yeah, it's getting there now. It's getting there now. The tones are starting to play with each other a bit better. Let me get rid of this thing there. Yeah. Tweaking the tones. I think that's what it is. Gradually getting the thing to have the right shape. Not the face to have the right shape. Not a thing, is it? Yeah. Eyes too stands out too much. I'm gonna get the yeah. It's better. Yeah, the mouth's a little bit. Yeah, yeah. See, it's not so much the detail on things; it's the tonal quality of it. I think the ear on the other one wasn't particularly detailed. It was the tones, the cumulative effect of the tones. Yeah, you can hear a still saw in the background if you're asking. They're doing roadworks outside. Somebody decided to build 300 houses on a field down the bottom of our road. That means they're going to tear up everything around it, service-wise, start again. It's not about the people that are already here, it's about the people that's coming. We had no letter to say we're going to dig the road up. We had half a letter that said your dustbins might not be emptied, but we'll liaison with the council. We didn't get any information from the council, so the word brewery comes to mind. Mind you, our council's absolutely shocking. I think they were in debt by millions. How can I know why. I've been on these council group type things, and the people they employ in these things are not, that are councillors, are not necessarily successful, clever people. They're just like being in politics and all the power it brings, But budgets and spends and all that kind of thing, that's something they probably never even touched, let alone dealt with before. and they're all sort of priority driven and ideology driven and all that sort of stuff, you know. So, and whatever the latest fad is in terms of signalling, you know, whatever they want to signal the council, it's like this. What is this thing called? We go to this thing on a Friday morning, and tomorrow morning it'll be there, about food waste, and I forget what the initiative that Barnsley Council are running, and it was complete nonsense. It was, part of it was they provided croissants and bananas to school kids, and kids had never even seen a croissant. Some of these kids around here, and so they didn't like bananas, so all of it came back, thousands of pounds worth. I know it's about education and all that, but I think you got to embark on that first, and get to understand why it's important they eat. Not so much croissants, because I think they're full of crap, aren't they, most of them? You know, the industrial ones, and but bananas, again, are probably full of crap as well. You know, the commercial grown ones. Nevertheless, it's still a fruit, isn't it? You know, so you'd think there'd be some goodness in it, not all pesticides. Anyway, I've gone off piste a little bit with that. I don't want to get too I'm going to start ranting about something that's completely irrelevant. So I think it's just now a case of fixing all the tones on it. The face is too shiny. You see, it's got this problem here, which is a common thing really with you know, when you focus on the shadow shapes, if you like, or the shaping of a face with tones. People often end up with it looking too shiny, which is that's the balance issue. It's because the tones aren't balanced, so you're suddenly getting a highlight when it shouldn't be. It's just a gradual change in tonal value. It's not a highlight, so you get that problem sometimes, and people just carry on blending rather than trying to recognise that it's not that, you know, it's not that undulating. But and then there's the similarity between the backgrounds. So the problem with this is that there is no line there, you know, between the background that defines the edges. It's in black and white. I'm looking at the colour, but in black and white the tones will probably be very similar between the two. So for them to feel as though they belong in this instance, that's the whole point of doing like this, is to make it feel as though it belongs in its environment. You've got to be careful not to create some kind of outline around it, because excuse me, outlines contribute to the tonal value. So if it's a dark line around the edges down there, for instance, it's going to look like it's got an outline around it, and it's going to push it forward. Now, knocking it back, as you can see, it starts to behave itself. But you just need to be aware of that before you commit to something like that. I think it's horses for courses though. Sometimes it will feel right to have an outline, a line on it, but just be aware of it. You know, just be aware of what's happening. I think that's the whole point of this, is just be aware of how the tones are working with each other. I just need to increase the size of the forehead just a tad at the top there. It's mainly the it's mainly that. It's mainly the direction of it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, because it's, what is it, an hour and 3. I don't want to go too far, you know, beyond too long. I'll finish it off, and what time is it? I might be on later, and I'll show you how it worked out.